other platforms are actually trying to figure out how can you give a virtual experience to a consumer before they make decision. AI will never gonna teach you like how aesthetics looks like, right? That's something which you as a person or a designer will understand. Like if you want to succeed, you should fail early.
Hi, I am Muskan Behune and welcome to this episode of the UnGyaan podcast by Arena Animation, जहाँ पे हम बातें करेंगे about the dynamic world of gaming, animation, VFX and extended reality, where we build genuine connections with our guests and avoid the pitfalls of preachiness. Our conversations are going to bring you unique perspective and experiences from this vibrant industry. From storytelling to character design, let us explore the various processes behind the magic. Today, we are thrilled to welcome Aditya Tawade, Chief Creative Officer, Immersive and Creative Tech at Kulfi Collective. With deep insights into branding, emerging tech, and consumer behavior, they've empowered brands across industries to stand out. Get ready to dive into the world of design, innovation, and industry versatility. Hi Aditya,
Hello.
welcome to the UnGyaan podcast by Arena Animation. Thank you so much for being here, and it's so nice to have you. How are you feeling?
I'm feeling amazing, and thank you for inviting me for this podcast. And I'm happy to give my view on I'll say like whatever I can.
Our pleasure. So excited to get in the conversation, but before that, I want to ask you something. So we're talking about design and how design is useful in marketing, advertising, and all other industries. So, and design is everywhere in the products you buy, in the apps you use, almost everywhere. So, what is that one design that you encounter almost every day and you think this is absolutely brilliant?
So if you ask me, like I spend most amount of my time either listening on music or like traveling. So for me, being a very Apple user.
Oh, I was thinking it was Spotify in my head.
Yeah, but you can say Spotify as well. Okay, let's talk about Spotify because the fact that that app is so intuitive and like so amazing that I can actually like go on to and like search my songs very easily, and it also suggests like songs as per my taste. So it actually helps me to like vibe with my energy a lot. So I think like Spotify as an app itself is a great example in terms of design. And apart from that, design is something which the reason I was saying is like design is about like how you can experience, right? The better you get experience, it makes you feel the better the design is. So for me, my car journey is like a best example because I love driving, and while I'm actually like the fact that if I love driving, that means the user experience is for great for me. So I can say like traveling is something which is great for me as an example for a design as well.
Yeah. And you were saying something about Apple also.
Apple, yeah. The reason I was saying Apple because Apple because the fact that when they focus on anything, right, they give their heart and soul into it, and there is a huge like study behind study which goes under under designing a product, right? And it's not only designing a product but also like how you create that user experience from the time you enter the store or you handle a product and plus unpacking a product. So there is a huge thought process. So I will say that design is just not like visually which you're saying but also experiencing, and it starts from entering to like purchasing. That's something which I can say like that's how like holistically you can see like how design impacts in a day-to-day life as well.
We don't always realize it, but it has a very big impact.
Yeah, you don't realize unless and until you go to a bad shop and then you experience it. Then you'll say, you know what, Apple had such an amazing experience. The way the people talk to you, the way they have placed the products, and way the packaging is done.
Absolutely. And then talking about design, you've been in this industry for so many years. What's the exact number, if I may know?
I think it's been 12 to 13 years.
Oh my God, more than a decade.
More than a decade.
Yes. So you are in this industry for so many years, and there are a lot of aspiring designers who want to enter the industry, some early professionals. So if you can give me 3 top skills that are required to excel here, and maybe 3 tools जो बहुत ही ज़्यादा important है for the advertising, marketing and the creative industry overall.
Yeah, so when we talk about skills, like usually we look at like 3 aspects. It's just not skills, but there are other parameters which we'd also look for. One is your aptitude, like how much knowledge you have in terms of designing, and second is like attitude, and third is the collaboration as well. The reason why for us attitude matters more than your aptitude or skills is also because uh, a person with a good attitude can always excel everywhere, because it's always that there is an intent of doing something or intent of learning something new. Whereas aptitude, even if it's like 70-80% there, it still works for us, because a person with a high intent can always like they can actually push themselves to learn something new. And collaboration, because the fact that our industry is more creative, and what happens is the more you collaborate with people, the more you get their inputs, the more you take their inputs and like come up with something new. It's not like one person who is actually leading the outcome, right? There are multiple people who actually come, and the beauty of any project, right? The beauty of any artwork or any experience is that when you take everyone's input, and it's a collective effort. So that's the reason like collaboration is something which we think as one of a skill. If you ask me tools, there are 2 aspects of tools as well. Like usually predominantly I think like Photoshop and Illustrators are the predominant tool which everyone is actually using, but that's purely for execution. And then there are other tools also which we use for collaboration, for process management, and also for I think like it's also like production. We usually use Miro and Figma, so that everything is in one big canvas, and it just makes easier for your client communications as well.
Yeah. So, and I so agree with you on the skills part, especially because attitude is more important than
Yeah,
aptitude,
yeah.
is what you said, because aptitude can be taught.
Yes.
It's very difficult to
Yes.
tweak someone's attitude. The intent has
Yeah.
to come from
Yeah.
within. And collaboration, of course, in the creative industry, it's
Yes.
always the more the merrier. And jitna zyada you're collaborating with more people, you're getting some more inputs from everyone, and that results in a better
Yes.
outcome. So yeah, that's absolutely correct. Tools, these are the tools that are in demand currently,
Yeah.
the ones you spoke about.
Yes, those are sorry, I actually missed on one as well. Like those are design tools, but it's like motion as well. There are many other tools for like Cinema 4D. There is also After Effects, because motion design is also playing a huge role right now in marketing. Those also tools are very helpful on day to day. If you really want to become versatile or like have a distinct style of work. So
All right, that's interesting. Also, you just spoke about motion graphics and motion design. So, the motion graphics and the dynamic visuals are so visually appealing for the consumers. I want to understand, how do consumers respond to these digital ads? How is it different from what we've been doing previously?
okay, so I'll just give an example of like how the in general content and evolved. Like if you look at marketing as well, like initially it was just like static visuals. Right now it has become into motion, and that's like something which is trending. Is as simple as when you see something in motion, it always grab your attention, right? As opposed to if there is something just as a static. Looking at the trends, if you look at a consumer behavior right now, lot of the short content is actually being consumed.
Yeah.
Because people have a very short span of attention, right? So if you look at TikTok or like Instagram, if you can create that impact in 5-10 seconds, that actually will grab your attention. And how it can happen, like you can actually add some design and motion onto it, because the first 5 seconds are most important, right? And if you lose that, then people will actually move on to others. So like that's the reason, like lot of the TikTok users and Instagram, they usually add, and brands also add like lot of design and motion elements onto it, so that you can actually grab like attention of a user.
Yeah, and when it comes to motion, this comes to my mind, the Zepto paper bags.
Yes.
So when you scan, they have different cartoons or doodle, if you may
Yes.
call it, and if you scan it, you get the motion. So this is
Yes.
this is an
So,
example of motion graphics.
in fact, it's good that you brought that example. It's done by one of our collaborators only. So it's basically like an immersive experience.
Yeah.
It's called AR lenses. When you have a certain visual, and the moment you scan that visual comes to life.
Yeah.
And that actually can happen on Snap or Instagram or many other AR platforms as well. So
Yes.
that's also something a interesting like a way to market your product so that you can actually engage with your consumers more often and not just like having a product and like
Yes.
just experience it. It's just like adding another layer of like experience.
Yeah, because I know once you've scanned that Zepto bag, it's going to stay in your mind that
Yeah.
this was not a normal bag,
Yes.
it had something different.
Yeah, in fact, I'll give you an example of we had also done one project for Nothing. So Nothing had launched. So they have a sub brand called CMF, and they were launching first time in India. And CMF had actually a newspaper ad, which actually got featured on tier 1 cities, like top tier 5 tier 1 cities, and they had told us that how can we create an immersive experience. While you're creating that immersive experience, it's not just like scanning a mobile, but showing a use case of it. The benefit of CMF mobile is that you can actually change the covers. So what we did is like to show consumers how you can actually benefit. We showed the process of how you can change your mobile covers through that AR lens, and that actually also got a pretty good response for that lens as well.
Nice, that's so interesting. I would love to like have a look at that. And I didn't even know of this. But what do you think are the, when we're talking about brand design, what are the different areas in brand design? And you just gave an example about immersive design. So is it also being used in other industries like healthcare, or what are the other industries immersive design is getting used in?
So there are two questions. So I can talk about the brand design first. So usually if you talk about brand design, there are many other aspects. First is visual identity, where you develop a brand language, what their font is going to be, what is going to be color palette, and build a brand book for them, which actually is a bible for them, how the visuals are going to look across different platforms. Then is product design, where you actually design a product and how you consumer can actually experience. And when you talk about product design, it's also packaging as well, like how you brand your product into a packaging. Then there is also immersive design, which is slightly trending right now, which is like where you can actually immerse design, and it can actually happen on ground, or it can actually happen virtually also, as a way where you wear virtual sets and you can actually be in that virtual environment. And then there is also design in motion as well, which we spoke earlier, right? How you can actually bring motion to design elements, which actually grabs more attention. I think these are like predominantly the more categories in designing. Obviously there are many more. Now if you ask me where which sectors are immersive design is actually working the best, I think at top of mind, healthcare and education is something which is actually doing a lot in immersive design, where you can actually like showcase like how human body works through virtual environment. Because sometimes it's very difficult to show like the inner organs, right? So it's very easier to show medical students like how it works, or patients as well. And in education as well, where you can do immersive like teaching for students, be it like showing how mechanics of a tool, or like an I'll say like an or an engine works. Or maybe it's like something you're taking a tour for students for like an excavation site, in a museum as well. So there are multiple aspects, but these are the two: healthcare and education, something which is predominantly like working the most for, and they are actually advancing. And there are many others as well. Like advertising is also something which lot of I'll say like in ad space, not in ad space, sorry, in my bad. I think there is one more, which is retail, where Amazon and other platforms are actually trying to figure out how can you give a virtual experience to a consumer before they make decision to go to and like purchase that thing. And virtual experience like as good as like, let's say if I have to buy a blender, right? How can I actually scan that blender? I can project it on in my house as well through my mobile.
Yeah, this I have seen this somewhere. You can check how a product looks in your home.
Yes. So we've been building certain, like there is a brand called Shark Ninja in US, and we've been building AR lenses for them. So before a consumer make decision that how the product will look, because sometimes what happens is like, like before you go to a shop, you still want to make a decision, right? And this actually helps you to make a decision much faster as well, where you can actually scan the product you can say how it looks in your kitchen.
Yes.
Maybe what is the size? Does it like fit with your overall decor as well?
Yeah.
So yeah.
That's so interesting. And even we have a lot of these options on e-commerce apps also for
Yes.
maybe beauty products. You can
Yes.
try on
Try on
glasses,
lenses, yeah.
lipsticks, all of these
Yeah, and
things.
and I think like Snap is also doing a great job with all these products. Like try on lenses is something which is like huge globally, where you can actually try on, as you said, right, try on lipstick or try on let's say like glares as well,
Glares,
like
yeah.
shades,
Yeah.
and also try on shoes also. Like many brands are actually like shoe brands are actually want to like do try on shoes as well.
Is it already in
Yeah,
the
it's there,
market?
it's there. Snap is doing a lot. I think like even Instagram was doing in between, but Snap is a bigger platform where you can actually like make lenses for brands like Nike, Adidas, and you can actually just check on your shoe, on your legs, that how they look like, and then later on make a decision whether you want to purchase those shoes or not.
Who would have thought?
Yeah.
You could try shoes someday.
Yes.
So AI is also everywhere now, in almost every industry, in every niche, every domain. In design specifically, with the rise of AI and automation, for designers in the marketing and advertising space, what new opportunities are coming in? What skills should they know in AI and automation for a faster career growth?
Yeah. So there is a right now perception that AI will take over their jobs.
Yeah.
So to be honest, in my mind, it's not gonna take the job because AI will never gonna teach you like how aesthetics looks like, right? That's something which you as a person or a designer will understand, like what is good aesthetic and what is bad aesthetics, right? What AI is just doing is like enabler for you to be much faster, to come up with solutions much faster than what you can. In my mind, there are two aspects of this. One is automation, and second is the like exploration. I'll talk about the automation because what it does, like AI, let's say like if you are designing something and then you need to make adapts of those design on multiple platforms, right? It will actually help you to like resize those documents on multiple ways. That's pretty much on the automation or like optimization. And then is the exploration, because what AI does is that it actually helps you to research and explore newer like designs, or it can actually be your friend to brainstorm with you and come up with design styles. It's not something which you have to like take those and pitch it to your client, but something as a starter where you can actually come up with certain styles and then build over it. As a referencing, it's a great starting point. It's not like a final like an output which you can share with your client, at least for time being, because AI is evolving at such a speed that every week you on LinkedIn or on social media you'll see new updates are coming. So it's very difficult to gauge right now what will be the future. But in my mind right now there are two aspects, which is like one is automation or optimization, and second is the exploration, something which can actually help any designers.
So as of today, you don't think AI is going to take our jobs?
No, it's not going to take our jobs, but one thing is sure, that if you don't try and evolve yourself with the current like trends, then you will be left behind, and the people who are actually adopting this technology, they will be the ones who will be move forward and they'll take over your job. So
yes, and also design plays a lot with consumer psychology as well. So I want to understand like why and how is it important for designers to understand consumer psychology? Why does it play such an important role?
Sure. So let's think like slightly like backwards. So basically, when a brand comes with a product, right? When the product is being designed or before it's sold, usually brand does a lot of research, and the research is done on the basis of what is the geography, what is the age group, and what is the psychography, like what is the lifestyle. Although it's a responsibility of a brand manager or a marketing manager, right? But it's also equally a big response of a designer. What is that age group, or what is that brand is trying to, or which consumers they are trying to reach out. Once you understand that, then you'll be able to connect with those audiences, and then you'll be able to come up with design style which can resonate with the audience or resonate with the brand. And that's very important, because if you understand what your consumer wants, then you'll be able to create a certain design style which can vibe with them. If I don't, let's say if I'm a consumer, if I don't vibe with certain design, I'll not go ahead and buy that product, right? That's the reason, as a designer, someone will need to understand what is my likes and what is my dislike, on the basis of which, they can actually come up with solution. And that's the reason why it's equally important for designer to understand the consumer, or like the psychography of the consumers.
Yeah, because everyone wants a brand to feel like a human, and that's why a lot of people are able to connect more with brands that feel like human and are not very
Yes.
technical. Do you have any examples in mind, brands that you're able to connect with very easily?
I think like I can say like Spotify is something
Yeah.
very close for us, because obviously we are doing their social like retainer.
Yeah.
So now let's say like Spotify, if you understand, like South is a completely different market, and when we were trying to create content for them, right? So obviously you need to understand those experts. You need to get those experts to understand what is this audience, and the taste of this audience is completely different than the other states, right? So that's the reason what we did is actually we got people and experts who can actually understand the this target, and then create content on the basis of their likes and dislikes. You can't use the same kind of content which you are creating for some other cities, and you can actually like push over there, because it will not work out. You need to understand what this target is actually like, what this set of people like have dislikes and likes, on basis of which you can make content.
Coming to my next question, we were talking about aspiring designers and what can they do to get ready for the job market for this industry. I want to understand how can they keep up with these changing trends and the tech that is continuously evolving. Would you have some tips that would, because there's something like every 6 months, if I'm not wrong, there is
Yes.
something new that has come in, some new skill that you need to learn, or some new tool that has evolved. So what can they do to to always be relevant and ready for the industry?
So same goes for us as well. It's not only for like young designers or young animators. For us as well, if we are kind of like noticing it, like the industry is evolving very fast. So now, if I have to be on top of the trends, I need to be on social platforms, because social platforms are the ones where you can actually experience the latest trend, because the trends which goes viral, that means that becomes like a thing, right?
Yeah.
So you need to like try to understand what is trending in the market, and that can only get you exposure through social platforms. Either like, let's say for designers, it can be Behance, it can be Instagram. Instagram is also like a great place for designers to be on, because a lot of the like a lot of the designers and like design and animation community post a lot of their content, and you can actually easily gauge that what is working and what is not working, and that can actually be a benchmark for you, like, hey, this is something trending. So then maybe you can actually try and like explore something in this space, or maybe take that as an inspiration, come up with something new. But in order for us to like be on top of trend, you need to be active on social media. As much as sometimes I hate to be on social media, but that's the unfortunate, like being in this industry, you need to be part of social media. There's no other way. It can be on, usually like LinkedIn has also become a social media platform right now.
Almost,
Everyone is posting their work on LinkedIn, so that's also can be a source. Or maybe like platforms like Pinterest or Behance can be a source for you to like consume content, and then you can understand like what is working, what is not working. But if you ask me, the clear answer is that you have to be on online and just work. Maybe follow aspirational companies, because aspirational studios actually like come up with new kind of work, and that can be a benchmark for you. Like, hey, like this is something which is trending. Can I do something on this? Or maybe take that inspiration and come up with something new as well.
Yeah. So that's very true that you have to be active on social platforms. That's how you'll get to know what's trending and what you have to pick up. What are your personal sources from where you take inspiration or stay on top of the trends?
So for me personally, like I'm, if platforms, if you ask me, like one is Behance, then Stash.
Stash.
Yeah, Stash is a platform for motion design and VFX and animation. Behance is actually like generic, where you can actually find design and animation both, and Instagram also, which I said, and sometimes LinkedIn also, because I'm actually more active on LinkedIn than on Instagram. These are the platforms. But if you ask me like studios, one of my favorite studios is Buck, which is like evergreen studio who always comes up with new. They always send trend. They always set some new trends,
Yeah.
and then usually people will try and like take inspiration and then like evolve from those trends. And then there are many other studios like Dixon Baxi for which is a London-based agency which does a lot of design branding work. Then there are like motion design studios, Future Deluxe and Man vs Machine, which I and the team actually gets more inspiration from.
Oh, thank you so much. I'm sure a lot of our audience will find it very helpful. Talking about the importance of design skills, can you think of any real world example where a design skill has impacted a brand's success?
So I think like again, like I don't like this is not for Spotify, but this is a great example because rap just happened right now.
Yeah.
So if you interesting look at what rap is actually doing is trying to like cover what a user has actually like discover in that year, how many
Yeah.
songs they have played, what kind of songs, what kind of genre.
Yeah.
So the way they have actually like done that experience itself is amazing. And if you look at the design as well, like it's very bold,
Yeah.
and it has like a lot of design elements, and there's also motion design into it. So it's very striking in my mind if you ask me. And interestingly, it actually captures the user data, right, in a very interesting and innovative way. I think that's like one great example in my mind which I can think of, to be honest.
Yeah, I mean that data is not very useful, but then still it
Yeah.
feels so good to go back to it.
Yes.
that, yeah,
Yeah.
मैं ये किया
I
है.
end up like watching. I in fact like I think like everyone in our office, whoever has Spotify, they end up like, even though it's the data is more personal to you, like you would want to share it with everyone.
Yeah,
and
yeah.
like
On
uh,
social media
yeah,
with
on
your
social
friends,
media.
colleagues.
Yes,
everyone.
and that actually like creates like a lot of interest on like like what people are actually enjoying, right?
Yeah.
To be honest, apart from they have also data where it also captures like what songs has trended in India, but it's good to know like what your friends are actually like listening to it, so that you can also take some of their
Yeah,
songs.
it helps you discover new
Yes.
stuff, new
Yes.
music.
Yeah.
And talking about technology, we were also talking about AR, VR. How do you think learning these technologies will help a designer be relevant, more relevant?
Yes, it's very important because I think like with these emerging technologies, you need to adapt yourself, you need to evolve, right? So now, just like how design became motion design, the motion design is going into immersive. Immersive is very broad in my mind, where you can actually experience those instances in a virtual world or in a real world as well, and those can be on ground as well. So now, if you ask me, design can actually plays a crucial role as well, because when it's just not you designing something, it's just also like how can you create a user experience before you dive into those experiences. Like maybe like let's say like take an example of when I'm actually into an event, I want to experience something on ground. The from the time when you enter that spot and you stand in front of that specific immersive installation, that's also an experience for you too. So everything, so there is a design involved in every aspect. Also the user, the UI UX of that immersive experience also. So in my mind, that plays a huge role. In fact, right now you guys know like a lot of the people are actually like globally, a lot of people are also making content on virtual, which is like a spatial design. Spatial design is something which is also trending. So now if you ask me, if there is a person who can actually have a set of skills which is not specific to one medium for different medium, that will be very beneficial in terms of future. So I think like in order, as an organization also, we are also trying to evolve. We are just not sticking to the normal mediums. We are just like, I'll say like traditional mediums, but we are also trying to like evolve ourselves and tapping into the newer mediums of content creation. And it's very essential for us as well. So that's the reason it's very important for a person to like evolve and try be on the top of the trend, because even though right now they are like I'll say like they're getting consolidated, it's not like they have picked up, but eventually they'll pick up because the nature of consumption of content is changing. So in the future, it's going to become more immersive. So I think like for people to start getting into that immersive design is also very important.
Yeah, it's not picked up right now, but it's better
Yes.
if you just get into it, if you
Yes.
just start it.
Yeah.
So we're giving so much insights to the aspiring designers. Our podcast is called the UnGyaan podcast. Would you like to give some advice, any quote that you always that's like stuck in your mind? Anything, any tips to the aspiring designers watching this that would be very helpful for them?
Yeah, I think like there's one thing which I always tell my team is, in fact, there are two things which I always tell is like you, as a person in creative industry, you need to evolve yourself, and it can't be that you can just not learn things, be it's like AI or like a new style or new software. You just have to be on top if you really want to grow, because the industry is evolving. So I would suggest that you need to like learn more often than not, so that your game is up. And second thing is that which is very important in my mind is, there's a procrastination which actually happens while you're working on something, right? So in my mind, you should, if you are want to succeed, you should fail early rather than procrastinate and then and then overthinking on certain thing, what will be the impact. So in my mind, like if you want to get success, fail early, try, fail, and then move on. Just not procrastinate and think, what's going to be the impact. So
Yeah, that's really helpful. I think the procrastination advice goes for everyone
Yes.
in general, not just for the designers, but everyone deals with procrastination. Everyone knows that no, we have to get this done, but somehow it's just a little difficult.
Yes.
So yeah, thank you so much for that. Also, we have a very fun segment. It's called UnGyaan Shorts. I'll ask you a few questions, but you have to be very quick. You won't
Yes.
get a lot of time to answer it.
Sure.
Okay, ready?
Yes.
So, which tool is your BFF? Photoshop, Illustrator, or Control Z?
I think Photoshop is one of my favorite tool because it's actually a jugaad for me. Like if I have to fix anything, I'll always go on Photoshop.
All right. If you could redesign any famous logo, which one would it be? And
To
why?
be honest, like I love that brand, but I don't like the logo. It's Sony. Sony's logo is something which they haven't changed and they should rebrand.
Okay. What's harder, finding the perfect font or deciding what to eat for lunch?
It's always been lunch.
Oh, what's for lunch today?
That's what I can never guess.
All right. What's one thing clients always ask for that secretly makes you cringe?
To be honest, like our clients are sweet always been sweet to us. I think one request is like just asking for more feedbacks, like so just like incorporate more feedbacks, which
Okay.
actually always like sometimes it feels
2 or
makes me
3
awkward.
rounds is good after that.
But yeah.
Okay. If you could design in any era, 80s neon, 90s grunge, or Y2K minimalism, which would you choose?
I think there is another like a style something which I also, but I think being minimalism is something which I love the most.
That's your thing.
That's my thing. Yeah.
All right. Last one. What's your go-to excuse when a deadline is too tight?
We just don't have bandwidth.
Oh, that's the
Yeah,
go-to
yeah.
excuse. So yeah, we're done with this interview. Like, how did you like it? I think it was your maybe first or second experience.
Yeah,
How
I
was
think it's great because I also this is really helpful because sometimes it's kind of gives me an idea of like to reflect.
Yeah.
Because of some of the questions, because then I also understand like what answers I've actually given and if we have actually like try and working on those solutions as well. So
Yeah, and you were fabulous. Thank you so much for
Thank
giving
you.
your time. Your insights were really, really interesting, and I'm sure it would be helpful for everyone watching. You can definitely do this more often.
yes, for sure. I
Thank
love to
you.
like share as much as I can.
Definitely. Thank you so much.
Yes.
This brings us to the end of another insightful conversation with Aditya Tawde on the UnGyaan podcast by Arena Animation. Aditya has truly showcased how design shapes industries and creates opportunities. You can catch the episode on YouTube, Spotify, or your favorite podcast platform.